Shut up and sit down.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Miserable bloody Romans, no sense of humour.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Here's to swimming with bow-legged women.
Are you telling me you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
You're damn right he did. Hey, welcome back to the pop culture, or the culture of pop.
And hopefully we'll have continuing video this week. We screwed it up last week.
Yes. We are going along and figuring out our problems as we go. We are now having an audio sync issue.
And it's not easy. We need somebody. We need somebody with tech savvy.
With talent.
Yes.
Knows how to do this and wants to do it for free or for candy or something. I don't know. A couple beers.
I got a couple of hockey masks nobody wants to fucking buy. So.
Hey, yeah, by the way, the hockey mask up here again. We got the Jason one. Fred is still selling those, even though it's not Halloween, because this is an all-time collector's thing anyway.
Yep.
You want this in your house. It's awesome. It's very screen-like. One of the best props I've ever seen that somebody's made that I know.
The Part 8 mask that I have at home is even fucking better.
Is it?
Yes. It's way
okay,
better.
sweet.
And I've got a semi-Part 4 mask at home, too, and for the same price, $50 each.
Yeah. And when I went out and looked at...
My speeding ticket needs... needs for you to buy.
Yeah, you got a speeding ticket. But anyhow, yeah, they're only $50, and like he'll make whatever one you want from whichever Friday the 13th series.
Right.
I mean, if you want a burlap bag with a hole in it, I'm sure he'd do that for you too.
Yeah, no, you can, because it's still open right now. You can go to Spirit Halloween if you want to.
Yeah.
You can buy one of them little shitty foam masks if you want.
Now, some of their masks are pretty cool, but their Jason ones and their Halloween ones all tend to be very off because they can't use the trademark, of course.
Exactly. They're just crappy.
Yeah. I love the big, just white one that's like shiny plastic white, and it just has like holes in it, and like you get it at the dollar store. It's
I like the mirrored one. That was actually kind of cool. Like,
yeah.
Astro. It's like fucking.
But as long as we're talking about
fucking Commander, you know.
As long as we're talking about Jason and that kind of stuff, we are here to talk about horror. We're going to do an after horror retrospective, or after Halloween retrospective, so much.
We did just spend the entire month watching horror movies, you know?
Yes.
Both of us did. I was watching your Instagram. I was seeing all that stuff pop up, and I was doing the same thing myself. My wife and I at home were doing 31 days of horror. We would switch off. She would choose, then I would choose. She would choose, then I would choose.
Yep.
And
any bad picks?
Any bad picks?
Yeah. Or did you mostly stick to stuff you already knew what it was going to be?
We stuck to what we knew.
Okay.
With a few exceptions. We tried Final Girls, which I absolutely loved.
I did too.
I don't know how to pronounce her last name, if it's the same as my last name, Malin Ackerman or Ackerman. I'm not sure.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I've often seen her name and thought, oh, Fred.
The way that it's spelled, though, indicates Ackerman, and I've never heard it pronounced out loud. So I'm just going to go ahead and say Ackerman because it's a point of pride.
Yeah.
I've loved her ever since Harold and fucking Kumar, you know?
Yeah, I forgot she was in that.
Yeah,
That's
how
right.
Could you forget she was in that? She did what I love happens.
It's been so long since I've seen that.
Right?
But yeah, it's a great movie.
I might choose that one of these nights, because I was going to say, even though we're done with the horror for the month of October, the wife and I are still going to continue that tradition.
The movie
of picking
thing,
a movie every other night,
which is cool. That's good, and it's funny because we both watched Good Boys on the same night, which was that was the movie that was my pick for that night.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
That got me thinking about when I was a kid too. You know.
Yeah.
That group of friends that you grow up with because you live so close together.
Yep.
And I don't think anybody ever sticks with that completely.
Yeah. And you forget, I mean, what it made me remember is you forget that time in your life when, especially as a boy, I'm not speaking for, anybody else, but as a boy, you have that time in your life where you're still into really toyish things, but at the same time, you're getting that sense of, wait a minute, these girls are starting to look kind of good, or boys, or whatever you're into, or whatever.
Wait.
What?
That's supposed to end?
Well, the toy things just get more expensive. That's the thing.
Yeah, my $400
but I mean,
lightsaber, my $350 Tom Servo.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I have the same type of stuff. I know what you're saying. But yeah, there still is that point though where you're kind of like, wait a minute, girls look good, and this is weird, and so. I thought it was a really well done movie. I did.
I loved it. I loved every second. And then I saw Seth Rogen's name in the credits, and I'm like, oh, no fucking wonder.
Yeah, exactly. Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, and I mean, they always do the good stuff. So, but I was going to go. The only bad pick that I made during the horror thing was, I think I already talked about it, was Sleepaway Camp. I didn't quite understand that. I guess the only good scene in it is the end.
Had you not seen that before? Was that your
I had
first
never
time?
seen it. I had always heard about it. I'd never seen it. I had seen footage from it, and I thought to myself, this looks really, really cheesy. And I was right.
See, that's
it's
how I feel
cheesy.
about most of the Halloween sequels.
Yes. Well, they're just bad.
I've seen footage from it, and Chris Stuckman actually did a review I watched.
On 4.
On 4, yeah.
Yep.
And it kind of made me want to watch the movie. I've never actually seen it before. I may actually give it a try based on his review of it.
Which one was 4? Was that the one with the little girl on the
That
cover?
was the one with the little girl.
Okay,
yes.
okay, yeah.
That was the one. I think it was his niece or something, and he showed up
Yes.
in a crappy version of his original mask.
They have like an extended version of that, I think. It's supposed to be way better, I guess. I mean, that's what I've heard.
They always say that about extended editions.
Yeah.
but usually it just adds more crap. Like with Star Trek: The Motionless Picture, it added 15 extra minutes of them
boringness.
staring at the Enterprise leaving space dock. Just
Exactly.
everybody's just staring at it.
Yeah.
Like it's,
Well, because everybody had a hard on for that ship. I mean, they still do. You still do.
I still do, but I can't watch that goddamn movie.
Yeah, I remember going to see it at the movie theater when I was a kid, and I thought it was pretty boring, which is probably what ruined that movie, because that was the first I'd seen of Star Trek. I knew my mom watched it, but that movie was probably what said, "Oh, this is really boring to me."
Yeah, but that's not representative of Star Trek as a whole. I hope you understand that.
No, because they come back with Khan, and Khan is
Yes.
still one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. Not even just
And you know
Star
what?
Trek, but it's just
You know what?
great.
It's very underrated, but The Search for Spock was fucking amazing.
Yeah, it was. It
There
was a good
that
one.
One Shatner moment right in the end when Christopher Lloyd's hanging off the cliff and he's like, "I have had enough of you," and just knocks him off the.
I remember that
delivery.
one.
Oh God.
So that one had a lot of comedy in it, if I remember
It
right.
really
A lot
did.
more than what usually was in there. Yeah.
4 was just straight up comedy. We're getting off topic here. We're
Yes,
going
we
to
are.
Star Trek, and we're supposed to talk about horror as a retrospective for the month of October that we just passed.
Okay, so I just want to look at my notes real quick, but I know that you want to talk about the Silver Age of a lot of the horror, which is
Right.
cool with me because that's what I'm into too. I'm just trying to
Where I
remember.
jumped on board. I mean, the golden age, when I say silver age, what I'm considering to be the golden age is the Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi days, the black and white Universal monster flicks.
Yep.
Dracula.
Yep. Yeah, I know what you're
Frankenstein,
saying.
Wolfman, Mummy. All that. And when I say silver age, what I mean the rise of Wes Craven, the rise of Clive Barker, Sam Raimi jumping into it,
Yeah.
and how Wes Craven and Sam Raimi had that back and forth going on with their movies. And
Yeah.
They were just nodding towards each other
Oh,
with
yeah.
everything they put
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
That's the silver age of horror to me. That's when it started to pick up. It's like with DC Comics, you've got the golden age, which was the World War II era Superman.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Silver Age. That's when it got goofy. That's when Lex Luthor started wearing the power suit, and they discovered 75 different flavors of kryptonite. And
I think with those movies, one of my things is that Freddy was probably my introduction to actual horror cinema. Because he was somebody, because I was always scared of horror films when I was a kid, he was somebody that I could, get more into because it was a little more lighthearted.
Right.
The kills weren't as graphic. And I mean, there were some great kills in
there
that. They were
some pretty
creative. Let
goddamn-
me put it that way.
they were very creative.
Yeah. And so
Part 4 was my introduction, but go ahead.
I think I just watched, I watched part 4, didn't I?
I think you did.
Is that the one with
Dream Master?
Yep.
So
I did.
They recast Kristen and killed off the entire fucking
Yep.
cast of Part 3 in the beginning. Yeah,
Yep.
that was the
I liked part 5 also, and a lot of people didn't.
I like all of them.
I do too. I really do.
I like every one of those movies. Freddy got a little cartoony starting with Part 3, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was genuinely creepy in that first one. With
Oh, yeah.
a little bit of humor mixed in.
Yeah.
And some of it was unintentional because of the budget that Wes Craven had at the time.
Exactly.
But I think it was 3, and everybody calls Part 2 the gay one. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't.
No.
Oh, wait, no, I did hear something about
Yeah,
that.
it's-
Why was that
It's
again,
the gay
supposedly?
night. Watch it again.
Okay, I'll have to. I think I remember what you're saying.
The
I think.
shower scene alone, where they strap the naked fucking coach to the goddamn
Oh
showers
yes,
and whip him.
yes.
You know?
Now I know why it's called that. I do remember
Yes.
that. Yes.
Plus, I don't think the main character in real life was heterosexual either, and that was just kind of going through in the performance.
That could be. You could be
'Cause
right.
He had absolutely no chemistry at all.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
the lead female.
No, huh? Yeah, you're right.
I do not believe this relationship for 1 second.
Well,
It was part 3 with "Welcome to Prime Time, bitch."
which is one of the greatest lines.
It is
And
one of the greatest lines, but at that moment, he became a cartoon.
Yeah, I'd say so. Part 3, yeah, and part 4 and 5, he definitely was more cartoonish.
Oh, God, yes.
And
Makeup got better though.
yeah, it did. It did. Everything got better about it because they got more creative with it. Because of the enhancements and everything that had come along that way.
Right.
Now, there is one thing that I want to talk about only because I want to talk about Wes Craven for a minute.
Okay.
I think Wes Craven is brilliant. I think he's amazing. Was amazing.
Yes.
I think
Rest in peace.
yeah, exactly. Some of the stuff he came up with was amazing. The movie that I watched on the 31st of October is the movie that I watch every year on the 31st of October, to the point where my wife is just getting tired of it now. And it's Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat,
Not
I saw
Trick
you
or
post.
Treat, but Trick or Treat.
And that's the one with the.
That's the one with
I don't think I've ever seen
Sammy
that,
Kerr.
actually. Yeah.
And
I saw your shirt. I saw the shirt, yes.
He comes back. What he is he's a rock musician. The reason we had gone and seen it as kids is because Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne were promised to be in it, and they were. And they had little cameos, and they were Ozzy's cameo is awesome. It's funny because he's a preacher.
Ozzy's funny no matter.
Yeah,
what.
and Gene Simmons' cameo is kind of like he's just they first wanted him to play the lead role, and then he didn't want to do it, so he said, "I'll just do a cameo," and he did a cameo in it. Anyway, long story short, because I want to get down to Wes Craven. What happens in Trick or Treat basically is this guy who's obsessed with rock and roll, and one rock star in particular. This is 1986, and his name's Sammy Kerr, and he's your typical leather clad 1986. And the music is all done by Fastway. And so Sammy Kerr's voice is basically the lead singer of Fastway. Oh my God, I hate it when I forget to do that. He's basically the lead singer of Fastway is what the voice is. So it's got some really good music in it, especially if you like Fastway, which I kind of happen to do if I like Fastway. Anyhow, he comes back in one of his records to Mark Price, who was Skippy on Family Ties. He comes back to him through his stereo when he plays this record, and he wants to get back at all the kids that are picking on Ragman. Which, if anybody knows me, I've had the email address for 1,000 years, and my gamer tag is
wondered where
Ragman.
that came from.
That's where it's always been from, because this is
Okay.
one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And I will tell you, it's cheesy as shit, but it still holds up as a cheesy 80s movie. My thing is that
I kind of want to watch it now.
like I said,
I imagine you've got it on your Vudu.
no, I don't, because you
No?
can't. I'd have to give you a DVD copy of it from Europe, actually.
Wow.
Because you can't. It's never been released ever,
Wow, really? except
except for on VHS when I bought it when I was a kid. But it's never had a DVD release. It's never had a Blu-ray. One of the reasons why I think it's a pretty cheesy movie, but Wes Craven had nothing to do with this movie, but one of the complaints that came along was because Sammy Kerr comes through the stereo system or radios and stuff like that, they were saying it was too much like Freddy, because Freddy could only come in through your dreams. This was the same exact, they were saying, this is really close to Freddy.
Well, you know what? It's also a lot like Terror Vision.
Well, wait, I'm not finished. I'm not finished. Because what I found really bad about this back in the 80s, I can remember, is shortly after that, after they did all this comparing and people said, don't go see this, whatever. It's it's just a ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street, because instead of coming through your dreams, he's coming through the radios and TVs. Then 1989 comes along, and Wes Craven comes out with a little production called Shocker.
I remember that,
Yes.
too. That was Mitch Pileggi, wasn't
Yes.
it?
Yep, it was. And it has a character who dies in the electric chair, and then the only way that he can kill people is to come through the TV, come through some sort of electronic thing like the outlet or something like that. It was the
So
same exact movie.
Where were these fucks then when
Exactly.
that came out?
And that was Wes Craven who did that. And so I look up what the totals is. God, I'm a hillbilly. What the totals are, I think it's like
We live in Ohio.
14, yeah. I think it's like, yeah, Shocker did 16 million, Trick or Treat did 3 million. That's what Trick or Treat did as of today. Wow. So whoever's gone and see it since then, that's box office.
It would help if they released it.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever
might
going
raise
to
some sales. People might buy it if they can buy it.
What's funny is I really thought that Mark Price, the guy who plays the lead character, which I said you know him from Skippy and Family Ties. Yep. He's really into it. Like I thought he would be kind of like the guy. No, I've joined him on Instagram, and on 31st, there were all kinds of people posting, and he was reposting everybody watching Trick or Treat.
Oh, I wonder why. I wonder why this never got released.
I don't know.
Because you said it got released on VHS when we were
when we were kids. Because I can remember buying it for like $75 or something.
I remember seeing
like
it in video stores too. I just never picked it up.
Yep, and I think the other reason is there was another movie out at that time called Trick or Treats also.
Right.
Almost the same year or a year after or a year before. And I think people got mixed up. I think they chose an unfortunate name. They should have chose Ragman.
They do that all the time now. It's like Thor comes out, and then you get like 15 direct-to-fucking video movies all titled Thor something or other, and it's some weird guy with a fucking bulky and hammered.
I think if they would have really done the trailers a lot different and just called it Ragman, I think it would have had a lot more success. I think Trick or Treat really mixed people up because it wasn't about Trick or Treat at all.
Didn't I see you say that? And I noticed that the screenshot of on your TV and that one Instagram picture said Ragman.
Yeah, the European or UK version or whatever is called Ragman. They changed the name because they don't have Trick or Treat over there. They wouldn't know what the fuck it is.
Right.
I mean, as far as I know, they don't. I mean, back then, I don't know. But
they should have just done that. They should have just
exactly.
changed the damn name.
I don't know why they didn't, because it got so like just thrown in there with all kinds of shit. You let me borrow that great video, so I will let you borrow my Trick or Treat video.
That works. I'd like to
we'll talk about that video hopefully coming up soon.
If I have something that'll play it, if it's a region that
I think it plays on my PlayStation and other stuff, so I think it should play fine.
Okay, that works. But you were talking about Wes Craven. I wanted to talk about one thing.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring up something about, because before we get too far off of the Nightmare on Elm Street thing, the original glove has been found.
I saw that.
You saw
I
that
saw
video
that,
on YouTube? That's fucking amazing. Did you watch it?
No, I didn't watch the whole thing. I just saw.
They point out like different things on there. Dude even presents it to Robert Englund and gets it signed.
See, I didn't see that part. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it now.
Like, well, this actually looks familiar. But they go through and they point out shit on the glove that's been found.
Okay.
And the original glove and shots from the original movie, and it just matches perfectly.
Really?
They only made one of those gloves. They only made one, what they call hero glove for that movie, and I believe that's the actual version, the actual metal version of the glove.
Okay.
The rest of them were plastic prop versions.
Yeah.
Just, just slice people with. But yeah, they actually they go through and they look at all like the pattern of the solder on the on the metal holding the knife on one is identical to the one that got found.
Yep.
And this rivet is this size.
That's pretty
and
badass.
Just a little off center, just like the one that shot in the movie. And
that's pretty badass.
It really is. They used that same glove for part 2, but apparently it just disappeared from the set.
There's been stuff like that happen. What was it that I was reading about recently that they had just found that something, I can't remember, but yeah, that happens every once in a while where you have something disappear and then all of a sudden it ends up, 500 miles away somewhere.
But the fucked up thing is it wound up on eBay.
Yeah.
Being sold for $600 as an extra prop glove from part 5.
Yeah. And it was the original. Jeez.
And it was the original.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
The leather glove's been changed since then, but the entire plate and knives and everything is the original.
One of the other things was about Wes Craven that I just thought of was, and I don't know what brought it to my mind. I mean, he was huge with Nightmare on Elm Street, of course, and
that's what put him there.
Yeah, exactly. But he has so many littler films that not a lot of people know he did. Check out Serpent in the Rainbow.
I love Serpent.
Oh my God, dude, that was a great '80s horror movie.
I recommended that to somebody. Remember in the last episode, and you know this anyways, because I talked about it when my whole job on Friday nights at Hollywood Video was to walk around with a goddamn clipboard.
Yeah.
Somebody was in the mood for horror, and I said, you should check out Serpent in the Rainbow. It's some very little-known Wes Craven shit, and they took it home and watched it, and they came back, and they gave me a fucking new one. They ripped me, God. I guess it rubbed them the wrong way.
It's a very strange movie. It's a
very strange movie, and it's fucked up.
But See, I haven't seen a lot of his early stuff, only because of the fact that I knew it was excessive.
Yeah.
And I'm not really into, what is it? Not I Spit on Your Grave, but what's Hills Have Eyes. I knew about when I was a kid, but
deeply disturbing.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a rape scene? There's a rape scene in that one that made me want to skip.
And isn't there another one that he
I'm
did
not
that was
usually
like
bothered.
that?
Last House on the Left.
That's it. Yep. I knew there was another one. Yeah. Two.
And I watched that too. That one I could get behind.
Okay.
Fucked up things happened to those two girls.
Yeah.
But I could get behind that one because when this group of assholes finally shows up at this house and it turns out to be the girls that they just fucking raped and left for dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the survivor, found her way back there and told her parents what fucking happened, and they hide her away, and they just, with welcoming arms, let these people come in and fuck them up.
Oh, Jesus.
For the last half of the movie, it's the parents getting revenge for what they did to her daughter, or to their daughter, and it's worth it to watch these guys get what's going on.
What year was that? Was that 70s?
I want to say 78, maybe. Okay. Maybe 79.
Because I think I remember I watched the newer one. Didn't they remake it?
They did remake it.
Like in the 2000s or something? Yeah. I think I watched that one because it said it wasn't as brutal. Which
you have to water shit down now.
And some of that 70s shit, dude, the problem with it is it's so real looking because of the way it was filmed. Yeah.
They didn't have an MPAA. They didn't have to send this to a group of assholes you never met and never will meet and say, do you approve of this?
Yes,
and
exactly.
then they send it back and they say, cut something. That's all the MPAA does either. They don't say, cut this,
I
and
know.
this. They just say, you need to cut something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
we were
luck figuring
offended
out
connecting. Oh, my God. I do remember. And what were some of the other movies? I'm trying to think of some of the other movies that he did that I was really into.
There's a lot of them.
I remember Shocker. Like I said, I mentioned that. I think I actually watched Shocker on video, and it's a good movie. I mean, it's all right for what it was. But yeah, I do remember Mitch being in it from X-Files. But
very early role. That was way before X-Files.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, because I was thinking it was around that time, but then I was thinking no, X-Files wasn't until '90s. Right. But yeah. So what about? I'm blathering on. What other Silver Age did you want to talk about?
Well, of course, once again, the Sam Raimi movies. He got his start with The Evil Dead. And if you haven't ever read it, I recommend picking up Bruce Campbell's autobiography, If Chins Could Kill. Confessions of the B-Movie actor.
Was going to get that when it came out. I've seen it, and I do want to read it.
It's an easy read.
Is it an easy read? Okay.
Put it this way: when I picked it up the first time, I was up till dawn reading it, and I finished it that night. I couldn't put it down. He not only talks about the whole making of Evil Dead thing, which there was a nice little story in there. I'll tell you in a second. But he talks about his childhood growing up in fucking Michigan, too.
Yeah.
And how he grew up with Sam Raimi, and they went to the same fucking school together, and they filmed Super 8 videos together. It chronicles everything from the early days of his childhood up to the point where he was when he wrote it.
Oh, wow.
Including all the Xena shit. And
oh, wow. Yeah. God, I forgot about that.
Right? And Jack of all trades and all that, and how the way he got the job as Briscoe County Jr., he went into audition, and he said, check this out, I can do my own stunts. Grabbed himself by the back of the head and did a flip. landed on his ass. And then he had to do that like 5 or 6 more times for 5 or 6 different people. And then like, okay, cool, you can have the job. And then he never had to do something like that.
Have you ever seen Bubba Hotep?
I love
That's
Bubba.
One of my favorites of all time.
They were going to make Bubba Nosferatu, but they never
did. I know.
They never did.
Yeah, God, I love that movie. It's so good.
The story I was going to say, during the making of Evil Dead, they used Caro syrup.
Yeah.
Food-colored red for the blood. And his shirt was drenched in it. Now, they didn't have a heater in this cabin. It really was just a shitty little cabin in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, I know.
The only thing left of this cabin, and there's a picture of it in the book, too. I'll let you borrow that, too.
Okay.
We'll do an exchange. You bring in Trick or Treat, and I'll bring in that book.
All right.
There's a picture of the cabin, what's left of it. It's just like 5 or 6 bricks from the fireplace is all that's left now.
Yeah, I think I saw that on somebody Instagrammed that or something a while ago, and I remember seeing it.
But his shirt was covered in this because of the filming. And they were going to sleep at night, so he said, well, I don't want to wear a wet shirt tomorrow.
Yeah.
He put his shirt over by the space heater to dry overnight, and when he tried to put it on the next morning, it actually shattered. The shirt shattered. So if it looks like he's wearing a different shirt at some point, That's why they had to get a new shirt.
I was introduced to. I actually hadn't seen The Evil Dead. I don't know why I wasn't interested in it. I thought it was going to be too scary when I was younger, as a teen or whatever.
Oh, it was fucking hilarious. That first one was genuinely creepy.
Oh yeah, and I watched
it was
the.
still kinda hilarious.
Well, what happened to me was I watched the new Evil Dead, and I really liked it. I thought it was really good.
I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yes, exactly. But then what made me get into the old Evil Dead was because I'd watched that. So I'm like, all right, I got to go back and watch these. I've never watched them. So I watched the first Evil Dead, loved it, of course. I mean, it's a masterpiece. It's great.
I actually started with 2, but go ahead.
Yeah, but well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so I've seen that, and then Army of Darkness, I'm divided on, and that's where everybody I think gets
It wasn't
divided
really
on.
A horror movie. It wasn't a horror.
Yeah,
at all.
it wasn't
more
really.
action comedy. Really.
Fantasy too. I mean,
there were a
yeah.
lot of fantasy elements in there.
I mean,
too.
I thought that the jokes were, funny as hell in it, of
was
course,
hilarious.
but
and that they carried that mentality over to Ash versus Evil Dead,
which I love.
You've seen? Okay.
Oh
good.
yeah, I've seen both seasons. I love it. I loved all the characters on it. They picked everybody good characters for it. I mean, what's her name? Xena was in it.
They brought Lucy Lawless.
Yep.
In, yeah, and she is still just as gorgeous as she was in that corset on Xena.
I don't know if I'll go there, but she's always been. Yeah. Okay.
In fact, I think she looks better today.
Yeah, she does. She does. She's aged very well. Very well.
Like fine wine.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody, even the other characters in the show, the guy, it's been so long since I've watched it. The one that calls him Hefe all the time. Who's the?
Pablo.
Oh God, he's great. He's
forget
so
his
good.
name, and Dana De Laurentiis.
Yes, they are they were so good. I grew so much on them over the series.
They fit in perfectly.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be awkward and weird bringing new characters.
Yeah.
in, but it was actually more awkward and weird watching Ash put a fucking the thing around his waist and
what do they call that? The corset type thing or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
the girdle around his waist and pop his teeth
Girdle,
back
yeah.
in.
Yeah. That was really cool, and the way they went about it. I mean, the whole series, and I mean, they gave it a good ending. Everything. I mean, it was perfect.
Sam Raimi.
It was
Sam
really
Raimi
good.
through and through. You can see his mark on that entire
Yeah.
thing. It's no wonder they gave him blockbuster movies to do.
Oh yeah.
And then he went on to do things like Drag Me to Hell, and you just watched that recently too for your Halloween marathon.
And you've also got to think about Darkman.
Darkman was fucking amazing.
Darkman's amazing.
My favorite moment from Darkman.
Give me that fucking elephant. Was that it?
Yes, but not that moment.
Okay.
The TV edited version.
Okay.
Where he says, "Take the fluffy elephant." On TBS. That's what you get when you watch it on TV.
Oh my! I can't stand watching. It's not even so much. I always tell my wife it's not even so much that the movie's not letterboxed right or anything. It's more just the cussing, man. It's irritating.
It really is. It's like little Billy's allowed to watch this person get exploded, but he can't see boobs.
Exactly.
And he can't hear fuck.
Exactly. And he hears it every day on YouTube. I guarantee it because everybody does.
I mean, fuck, we're on YouTube.
We're on YouTube and we're saying it, but
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, go on from there.
Clive Barker.
Clive Barker
was where I wanted to go next with that, and most specifically the Hellraiser movies, because honestly, I don't think I've seen too much else of what he's done, except
Spawn.
for the first two. Did Clive Barker do Spawn?
I don't know if he directed it, but I know he produced it and he did a lot of the artwork for it and all that kind of stuff.
It was decent for what it was.
I thought it was really good. I mean, at the time, I thought it was really good.
Yeah,
I've
it was a
looked
good
back on it
adaptation of
now
the
and I've
comics.
watched it, and it's like,
It's still
CGI,
kinda cheesy.
but it's good.
John Leguizamo made that fucking movie.
Oh yeah,
He
oh
really
yeah.
did. Michael
Yeah.
J. White, I guess he was serviceable as Spawn, and
Yeah.
he had the voice, he had the look, he had
Yeah.
the physique, and they had the costume down right. John Leguizamo made that fucking
Yeah.
movie. The
Yeah.
evil fucking. I love evil clowns. I love evil clowns. We watched 31 as part of our marathon.
Oh my god, I can't watch that. I just can't do those movies. I can't do
Fucked up things happening.
Devil's
to fucked up
Rejects
people,
and
though.
31 and all that stuff.
You know what? I'll
and-
tell you this. I mentioned before that Devil's Rejects was essentially The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
Structure. I
yeah.
mentioned that. Well, we watched Three from Hell.
Three from Hell.
Yeah, and I was hoping for Ewoks. I really
Yeah,
was.
because I remember you said on the last podcast that you thought it was going to be like Return of the Jedi. Yeah,
Right. It wasn't.
It wasn't.
No. You know what it was? It was Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I remember you did
I
say that.
mention that?
Yes, you
Yeah,
did
okay,
mention that. Yep.
I guess I did mention
Yep.
that then. That's the only, you were talking about, did we make any bad choices? That was the only one that I would think was borderline, because we hadn't
Yeah.
seen that yet. I was expecting more because it's Rob Zombie, and I love Rob Zombie's horror movies because the man has an eye for horror. He's obviously been through some shit in his
Yeah.
life. He
Yeah.
has. If you listen to that last Joe Rogan that he did,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the release of Three from Hell, he talks about a moment where he was fresh to New York, just freshly living in New York, and some guy just comes screaming down their neighborhood, and he's been stabbed like 37 times, and he's dying, and everybody is just watching him like, huh? Because and that's been his
kind of shit.
That's
Yeah.
where it comes from, I think.
I'm sure it does. I mean, a lot of these people, Stephen King, not even so much George Romero, I don't think. I think he's a little more, he's probably not that Stephen King or any of these guys aren't smart, but George Romero is kind of the intellectual genius of the bunch.
Yeah.
But yeah,
see that.
Stephen King, I can see, I mean, he had to have something happen in his childhood and something, I mean, I know I heard that maybe he had an alcoholic father or something. I don't know.
All right, that
but,
actually shows through in his characters, you know?
But a lot of those people had to have gone through a lot of that stuff. And I think what a lot of those people do too is they have those images and those thoughts in their mind and they have no way to get rid of them. And because I'm lazy and I have these images and thoughts in my mind too, you know, coming from an OCD standpoint, I'm just too lazy to write it down. These guys have the fucking balls to write it down and to do what the shit that's in their head.
And they don't care what people think about it. I mean, look at Rob Zombie. He looks like a fucking Rastafarian drug addict, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But he's the most eloquently spoken guy.
Oh, yeah. He's brilliant. Yeah.
He really is. And all that stuff that's happened to him in his life just kind of it got locked in there, and he lets it through. That doesn't mean he's a bad person. That doesn't mean he's fucking evil.
Yeah.
I actually have a theory about that. I think every person alive has the same thoughts. It's just how we react to them. It's how
That's exactly right.
It's how we act upon those thoughts that
Yes.
separates us from each
You're
other.
exactly right.
You know?
You're exactly right.
And that's why when you talk to somebody about their dark side, they say, you don't want to see my dark side. It's like, well, yeah, okay, you can talk shit about that, but you know what? I guarantee your dark side's fairly identical to mine.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
It really is.
Everybody, yeah, you're exactly right. Everybody has those thoughts, but I mean, it really amazes me when people bring that out because I actually, and this is my idea, copyrighted, if I ever get off my ass ever, I actually would either like to remake or rewrite Trick or Treat or make a Trick or Treat 2 with Mark Price as the dad in it.
That'd be the way to go.
But I mean, you know, I'd probably never get off my lazy ass. But what I was thinking to myself, well, you'd have to do really creative kills that were as creative because there are some creative kills in this, and you have to do some. And I'm trying to think to myself, man, who thinks up that shit? I mean, are you sick? You know, because it was hard for me in my demented mind to think of really creative kills, and then I'm thinking, but all these came from people's minds, you know, and it's just amazing.
There is actually a whole job in the horror industry.
Yeah.
Your job is to sit there and think up fucked up ways to kill people.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your whole fucking
Exactly.
job. Most of the time, it just comes straight from the writer. I guarantee Rob Zombie is responsible
Yeah.
for a lot of the kills in this fucking movie.
Oh, yeah.
And there's somebody who thought, and just pulling off the top of my head, Friday the 13th, Part 5, when he grabs the dude and straps the fucking thing around his eyes and just snaps the guy's skull through the tree. Somebody thought that up.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I just imagine a bunch of fucked up weird guys sitting in a basement somewhere just smoking hash pipes and, you know, drinking fucking Jose Cuervo. And
I'm trying to think of what happens. I mean, at what point do you... Well, like I was thinking about the new Evil Dead, or well, it's not new anymore, but the scene where she cuts her tongue. And I mean, the scene where she cuts her tongue, I mean, somebody had to think of that. You know? And I'm thinking to myself, ooh, you know, and
it does get under the skin, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
so to
does.
speak.
It's kind of like,
So to
man,
speak.
somebody had to think of how to do that, you know, or what to do. But you just go, I mean, from what you know, I guess. And I guess, you know, if you've always been, I guess if you do it more and more, come up with these kills, you probably get more and more, you know, options in your brain.
And you can make it as creepy as you want, or you can make it as funny as you want.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, Ash himself in Evil Dead 2 cuts his own fucking hand off.
Yes.
And
Yep.
it's the funniest fucking scene in the whole goddamn movie. You know, that's
I agree.
a fucked up thing that somebody's doing, and it's hilarious.
And there's
Meanwhile, a similar scene in the new Evil Dead.
Yeah.
You know,
Which one? The
in the new Evil Dead, the new well, not
Oh,
new,
to the
but-
the older
Yeah, the
one.
remake.
Okay, I didn't know. I was getting mixed up there for a minute. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, we've never gotten on that topic, but it is weird to think about, horror movie writers and horror novel writers and stuff, and how they come up with the fucked up shit they come up with.
Well, it's got to come from experience, I think. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, experience or just fucked up brains that they know what to do with it. I mean, that's obviously their outlet, because, like we said, we all have those thoughts and stuff. I mean,
and they just went in a different direction than we did.
exactly? Yeah.
You know what though? At least they're not out doing these fucked up things.
No.
At least they're just putting
Yeah,
it on
yeah,
paper
yeah.
and making actors act it out.
Exactly. But that's something that people never think of, because you never think to yourself, like, if somebody walked up to you and said, I had this thought the other day that this girl I was going to take my tongue, and you'd think, man, you need to seek some help.
Right.
But what we never think about is the people who write this shit on screen every day and come up with it.
And you know what? That's why Los Angeles scares me,
Yeah.
because that's where they're all hanging out. They're all living there.
Yeah, exactly.
There's about 1,000 people walking around downtown Los Angeles right this very second with a horror script tucked under their arm, filled with fucked
Yep.
up things.
Yep.
That's never going to get made because Hollywood would rather remake Gremlins.
Yeah. And then we can't even go.
fuck.
They're not remaking Gremlins, are they?
No, but I probably just
okay.
gave somebody an idea.
I was going to
God
say,
damn it,
please
I'm
don't tell
sorry.
me they're remaking that. I don't think they could ever do it.
If they do, you can blame me.
There are certain things that are just, we've talked about, that certain things that just can't be touched. Jaws, Back to the Future, Gremlins.
That doesn't mean they won't try.
Man, whatever.
Well, you know what? They're doing it a different way now. They're not doing straight up remakes anymore. Well, sometimes they do.
Yeah.
But most of the time now what they're doing is like with Terminator Dark Fate, or as I was calling it, Terminator Dead Horse, which I've heard people singing praises for this movie.
You haven't seen Chris Stuckman's review yet.
No, I haven't actually. I haven't. So, and
I've heard a lot of people sing praises, but since it opened, now that I've seen actual people that we like Stuckman and some of the other people I watch,
his review's probably still pretty accurate.
It is. It's very, and he's
for my
very. He gives it a C, but I mean, I thought I turned that down. He gives it a C, but anyway. So
What they did with that, they made a remake of Terminator 1 and 2. Kind of like Evil Dead was an amalgamation of the first one.
Yeah.
In like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it continues from there. What they do, it's kind of a remake of those two movies, but it's also a sequel.
Yes.
It's also, and that's what they're doing now. They're making remake sequels. That's what The Force Awakens was. As much as I love that movie, as much as I love the direction, and I know you guys hate, I know you guys are all like, Rian Johnson should be fucking strapped to the hood of a car and used as a fucking blood bank. But I like The Last Jedi, and as much as I love what they're doing with those movies, and as much as I would like to think that it's not going to be Return of the Jedi, the next movie is going to be Return of the fucking Jedi. That's just how it has to work. But that's what they did with The Force Awakens. It was a remake of the first Star Wars movie.
Yeah, you're right.
And if you examine it even further, I've seen a video that does. I'm not going to go into it here, but it's actually a remake of the first three. It's actually a remake of the original trilogy. There's elements of all three of those original trilogy movies.
Yeah. They had to get it all in. Yeah.
I think that was Disney saying, you know what, we can do Star Wars. Look, we did Star Wars. It worked. Now here's the direction we're going to go now. And then everybody said, fuck you, Rian Johnson. And I was like, okay, Rian Johnson, you're fired. Come back, JJ. Make another fucking Return of the Jedi. We can still do Star Wars.
And evidently, one thing that I did not know, I guess I haven't done my studying. Speaking of sequels and remakes, and we are in the horror mood.
Yes.
We are all supposed to pay attention to Jamie Lee Curtis's social media right now, because I guess she's showing tons and tons of behind the scenes and pictures of Halloween Kills. And that comes out in 2020, and then Halloween Ends comes out in 2021. They're filming them both together.
Wow. She got elderly.
Yes, she did.
See, I said to one of my coworkers today, I said, Jamie Lee Curtis got old. And the guy who was much younger than I am, he said, and Shay, I'm quoting you here, he said, Jamie Lee Curtis has been old since before I was born. And I was like, oh, well, what I meant was, when I said old, because there could be an argument that I'm old, depending on how young the person is.
Yeah.
What I meant when I said old was elderly. Jamie Lee Curtis got elderly.
Okay, now wait. because I know you've seen the new, or maybe you haven't seen the Knives Out trailer, the new Ryan Johnson movie.
That's what we were discussing when.
Yeah, see,
when
she looks
that
good
came
in
out.
that, and she looked good in Scream Queens. I think she was made to look a lot older. She is old, but I think she was made to look more raggedy and old in the Halloween movie because because
honestly,
if you
it
look
was
at the
that shot in
Knives
the
trailer, she looks good.
It was that shot in the trailer, that first shot of that trailer that, and I we could probably play it if we talked over it, but I don't know what button that is anymore.
No, yeah, won't worry about it. I'll put a picture up or something. We'll do
Oh,
something.
that works.
But yeah, I don't think she's aged badly at all, really. But I mean, that's just me.
I'm not saying she aged badly. She just aged.
But yeah,
A lot.
But what?
You know?
So we got Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends coming up, and I don't know what's sure, but obviously we know that Jason, Michael got out of that burning building, and we do what?
Are we going to get a Halloween Dead Horse?
Probably. But what I want is a Halloween 3 remake. I'd do that.
Yeah, I could. Yeah,
I do.
I could see
And
that.
that's one of the names we haven't brought up yet for the Silver Age.
Halloween
is John
3.
Carpenter.
Yes, John Carpenter.
We have to
That
bring up
was
John
one of the ones
Carpenter.
I was going to. Yes, that was
Yes.
one of the ones I want to talk about. That was part of the 4. I did bring up Clive Barker and the Hellraiser movies, and like I said, the first 2 Hellraiser movies were his, I believe. I don't think 3 and on were.
No, I don't think they were.
I don't think they were.
I've only ever seen 1. I didn't see 2 and
didn't see
3.
2?
No.
2 was decent. It brought back it brought back a couple of the characters from the first one. You remember at the end of the first one when the decrepit dude that's trying to come back?
Yeah. The brother or
Uncle,
whatever.
Uncle
was,
Creepy
yeah,
Face, yes.
yeah.
When he grabs on to the woman that he's the stepmother or whatever her name was.
I know.
forget.
Yep.
It's the stepmother they bring back. She's the one trying to come back this time, and it's basically.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yes. and
Yeah,
that was the
maybe
one
I'll have to
where-
watch that one.
It was
'cause
actually. It was. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. It was
Okay.
decent. But honestly, though, Clive Barker had nothing to do with it. But my favorite one of the Hellraiser movies was 3.
Was there any? Is there anyone? What was 3 about?
3 was Hell on Earth. 3 was the one where
Was the
Pinhead
3
was trapped in that pillar.
Okay.
That rich douchebag guy buys as a piece of artwork.
Okay.
And he's like banging the chick on the bed.
See, I definitely haven't
The
seen
pillar's
that.
sitting right there, and the fucking chains shoot out of the pillar and grab the bitch and pull her in, and the blood reinvigorates Pinhead.
Oh wow. Okay.
And Pinhead's face comes to life on the pillar, and he's like manipulating this guy to help bring
Yeah.
him back by bringing in people.
Wow. See, have you seen any of the other
It
ones?
shows him creating new Cenobites too. I saw Bloodline. And
I knew there was a lot of more Cenobites too. That was the other
like
thing.
an anthology.
Was it?
Bloodline was an anthology.
And Clive Barker had nothing to do with any of
He
those,
didn't
did
have
he?
anything to do with the rest of them. Although Clive Barker did have a lot to do with the comic book series that happened afterwards, after the first couple of
What?
movies came out. There was a Dark Horse comic series.
What else has Clive Barker done besides? I
And
mean, I
that's what
remember
I'm
the comic
trying
series, and
to,
I'm trying to think. I mean, we could look it up here real quick.
There was one story in the comic series that just creeps me out to this day. It takes place in hell, and it's just this guy, and he's basically just a torso. He's got no hands. He's being hung up by his arms, nothing below the waist. He's just hanging there.
Yeah.
And there's this Cenobite that comes by, and she makes artwork with him. She cuts pieces off of him to make her art, and over the course of a century or so in hell, he starts to fall in love with this Cenobite, and all he wants to do is be with her.
This is part
But-
3?
No, this is one of the
Bloodline.
stories in the comic.
Oh, in the
actually.
comic. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And there's this delivery guy that keeps coming around to this section of hell and bringing shit to her.
Yeah.
And he can tell just by watching, but he can't say anything because one of the first things she took was his tongue.
Yeah.
He can't say anything.
Oh
about
my
it.
God.
And he just watches this relationship between this delivery guy
Uh-huh.
and her, and this delivery guy has no face. He's just a faceless guy. And the reason why the story is called With My Lips
Mm-hmm.
is because she eventually goes over to him, cuts his lips off, and puts them on the delivery guy.
Oh.
And he has to watch her kiss him with his lips.
Oh my God.
It was creepy.
That
as
is
fuck.
creepy. See, I didn't even know that he was involved in it, and I didn't even know there was like a Hellraiser comic book, or
Yeah.
But
If I can
Dark
find
Horse
that
doesn't
issue.
surprise me. That Nightbreed. He was
Oh
a
my God,
writer, but I mean,
I
he
can't believe I forgot Nightbreed.
Let's
the
see what else he
extended
did.
cut. The extended cut was really worth it.
Lord of Illusions. I liked a lot.
I don't remember
That-
it. I remember it. I don't think I ever.
That movie. What's his name's obsessed with that movie? Who's the
Wasn't Scott Bakula?
Chris Angel. Yes, Scott Bakula is in it.
Right.
And Chris Angel, that's one of his favorite movies of all time.
It
so I do
shows.
remember that. Yeah.
It shows.
And then we got the Hellraiser for, there wasn't much else that he actually
No, there really
directed.
wasn't.
Yeah.
He was a master. He was considered a master of horror.
It says he directed Nightbreed. He directed and wrote it. So wow, that's amazing because that was a great movie.
No, what's amazing is that I didn't remember that. That's what's amazing because I've seen that movie so many fucking times.
I didn't know he directed it. I have too, and I had no clue he directed or wrote it. I just never paid attention.
I want to talk about movies that deserve a sequel / remake, reboot.
Oh, Nightbreed.
Nightbreed.
Oh yeah.
They could, in fact, you know what? Make a series.
That would be sweet.
Make a Netflix series.
Yeah.
You know, or better
They're doing
yet,
these limited series on there.
HBO. Do an HBO series.
That'd be cool.
They can get away with more.
Yeah, that'd be cool. There's some of those limited series they're putting on Netflix aren't too bad. There's like you play six episodes maybe.
Right.
And they call it a limited series. Those are pretty good. That would be cool for something like that.
I would love that.
But yeah, Nightbreed.
Just call it Return to Midian.
I don't think that gets enough cult status. I mean, because it's not talked about a lot
It's
in
hard to
horror.
find.
Yeah, it is.
It's really it's not quite obviously as hard to find as Trick or Treat. But,
Yeah.
but it was kind of hard to find. For
Yeah,
a
it
while.
was,
Actually,
yeah.
I got myself a copy of it a while back though.
And the other great one that's kind of, I don't know why it reminds me of Nightbreed is, what do you call it? Fright Night. That's another great horror movie from the
Loved
80s.
Fright Night.
Yeah, man. That was, and
Peter
House.
Vincent.
Do you remember House?
I remember House.
With
I remember,
Greatest American Hero, whatever his
I
name
remember
is.
the second one.
I didn't see the second one. I did see the first
second
one.
one was more of a comedy.
Okay. Well, I know the first one had a little bit of comedy in it, but it was more a bit.
Wasn't Richard Mull in that?
He
his
might have
name?
been. You're talking about the big guy from Night Court?
Night Court, yeah.
Yeah, he might have been. Yeah, he might have been.
I think
You're
he was
probably
in
right.
that one. He wasn't in the second one. The second one was it touched more on the comedy element.
Yeah, it did. I just remember William Catt. And I just now remembered his name.
Right.
And who else? There was an older guy in that one too. That was a semi-famous actor. Maybe Roddy McDowell, or am I thinking of
remember
something
it-
else?
I remember it mostly for the cover of the VHS.
Yeah.
You know, because it had the disembodied hand
And-
and the key into the
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or was it ringing a doorbell?
It was ringing a doorbell,
Ringing a
I think.
doorbell,
yeah.
yes.
But yeah, I
And
just
there was a
rewatched that
similar thing.
recently.
It's on your Vudu. So
Yeah.
I may actually.
It's pretty
watch-
good.
I've been wanting to. And that was going to be one of my choices, but there were so many things. To
Oh,
choose
yeah.
from.
Oh,
So
yeah.
many things to choose from.
Yeah, I had a really hard time with a lot of the things when we were picking because I was like, man, I want to watch this. But we did end up watching a lot of like different, like we watched Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, which
See, I didn't watch the movie,
wasn't-
but that last night on Halloween,
Yeah.
I forget what we watched. Fuck. One of the things that we chose because she couldn't pick. It was her choice.
Yeah.
It was her choice.
Yeah.
And she couldn't decide because there was too much pressure. You know.
Yeah.
Halloween is the day.
Oh yeah,
So I said, well, fuck it. Nobody said it had to be something iconic.
yeah.
So we picked an episode of Elvira's show.
Oh really? Wow.
The Loves of Dracula or something like that. It was cheesy movie. And I started, I never really sat and watched that when it was on TV. I remember seeing the movie, but I never actually sat and watched her show until that.
See, I used to watch it when my mom used to get a big kick at her. She used to, because she would watch those afternoon things, and she
Right.
watched it when it was on originally. Yeah.
There was a lot of blood and a lot of gore, and there was a lot of nudity in this. And I'm like,
That
what fucking
doesn't-
channel was this on back then?
Well, you might have gotten a hold of her. She has a video series too that was
she?
never played on TV.
That might be it.
So you might have gotten a hold of one of those.
Well, it was obviously vintage though, because she was.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
she looks, and I'm going to go on the same page as Lucy Lawless here. She looks just as gorgeous.
Oh yeah,
today
she
as
does.
did back then.
She looks great.
I just watched an Instagram video of her taking her Elvira makeup off.
Oh yeah.
On it was on Halloween. She posted this, and she was just she said the famous line at the end. I forget what it was. Fucking goddamn. Unpleasant dreams.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She's like, well, Halloween's over. Time to put Elvira away. Unpleasant dreams, and that was the video. Just
That's cool.
That was kind of cool.
What I realized when I watched it again, which I love the movie, it's basically if you like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah,
if you like Pee Wee's Big Adventure,
Yep.
you're gonna like Elvira
Wasn't
because
it
they're
Tim
two
Burton?
sides of the same coin. No, it wasn't Tim Burton
Because it seemed
but-
like a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah, but the humor's the same, and the reason the humor's the same. So if you like Pee Wee's jokes, you're gonna like Elvira's movie,
Right.
Because they all grew up in the same, not the Groundlings, but one of those troops that was in L.A. It was John Paragon who ended up playing the head
name.
on Pee Wee's Big Adventure. What was the head called in the box?
Zombie the genie.
Yes, he ended up playing John.
Mecca
We'll see.
Heine. I hate you, Peter.
He's the one who wrote a lot of Pee Wee, and he wrote the Elvira. Him and Elvira wrote the movie, and not a lot of people know that she wrote all her own jokes and she writes all her own stuff.
Yeah.
So if you like Pee Wee,
I guessed that from the cheesiness of the
Yeah.
TV show. And I noticed watching that too. I'm like, okay, so this is where Mystery Science Theater got the idea for its host segments.
oh yeah,
You know?
yeah.
She had everything except the riffing during the movie. And
Yep.
Just
Yep.
We
And-
need to do an entire Mystery Science Theater episode.
I would
That
love to do
deserves-
that. I would love
deserves
to
it.
do that.
You used to hate that when I would put that because that's all I would grab. We were only at Hollywood Video. We were only allowed to put in Disney movies or that stupid fucking screener that played the same trailers every 10 minutes. But when time permitted, when there was nothing else going
Yeah.
on, we would grab concerts.
Yeah.
First of all, and I would grab Mystery Science Theater episodes because we had a selection of those there. I couldn't help it.
I forgot we had
would
those, but
bring
yeah.
some in from home. I would bring shit in from home.
I want to do one on the show once. Just watch something, and we'd have to just tell people, start your shit now. Do a Pink Floyd type of, because we can't play it obviously on YouTube, the
That's
sound.
why Riff
But
Tracks, that's why Riff Tracks works the way that it does.
Yeah.
That's the guys. For people who don't know Riff Tracks, the cast of Mystery Science Theater in their last few seasons, Mike Nelson, Kevin Murphy, and Bill Corbett, they wanted to keep riffing movies. But
Yeah.
Sci-Fi Channel said, "Fuck it, you're done."
Yeah.
So they went on and they did this thing called the Film Crew, which they only had like a few
remember
movies.
that.
I know. They were basically playing video repair guys.
Oh, okay.
And a guy would come in every now and then and say, "Here's a movie for you to review."
Oh,
And they
okay.
it was Mystery Science
Yeah.
Theater, just with a different story.
Yeah.
And Riff Tracks was them saying, "You know what? Fuck it. Let's just riff everything. Fuck the B movies from a long time ago. We'll do those too.
Yeah.
But we're also going to do newer movies. But the reason it's formatted the way it is because they couldn't always get the rights to those newer movies.
Yeah.
And that's our problem.
Yeah.
We can't get the rights to show you a trailer without talking over top
Exactly.
of it,
Or stopping it in
between.
between. Yeah.
We can't get the rights to play. What was that song that got us kicked off of YouTube?
Oh God. Aha.
Aha.
3 seconds of aha.
One of the most, honestly, you might disagree with me here because you're more of an 80s guy than I am. One of the most annoying songs in
It
existence.
is annoying. I do turn it off when it comes on, but it was good at the time. Let me put it that way. It was excellent at the time.
The only interaction I want with that song anymore is that episode of Family Guy. Where Chris gets lost in the grocery
Yes,
store.
and and that was another reason why it was such a good song is because the video was really good and people wanted to watch it over and over because at the time it was a new technique.
So
But,
was
yeah.
Thriller. I'd rather watch that.
Yeah, I'd watch that
we
1,000
watched that
times
too.
more.
We watched that too.
Yeah.
Individually, we watched it. We did watch Thriller.
I haven't seen the whole thing in a while. I see the video all the time because I put Michael Jackson on when I'm doing whatever every once in a while. But yeah, I haven't seen the whole thing.
Whole thing's
Is
on
it?
his Vivo, yep.
Okay, I'll have to check it out sometime because it's been a while since I've seen all of it. Okay, so John Carpenter. We got to go into John Carpenter.
John Carpenter. And these were the four, by the way. These were the four that I had in mind.
Okay,
these were the
good.
four Silver Age guys. These are the ones that kicked off the new horror wave.
Okay.
Because after the Universal monsters went away,
Yeah.
nobody gave a shit about
Oh, yeah.
horror. It was all Hammer shit. From the early 70s and the late 60s, there was just all that Peter Cushing Hammer horror with
Yes.
and that was underground. That nobody paid attention to that.
No,
It was all just,
You couldn't really rent it or anything back then at that point. So
if you lived in a bigger city, you could stop in any given theater along the
Yeah.
street and see this stuff in grindhouse fashion.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, grindhouse films. But it was all underground. Nobody gave a shit. It wasn't until The Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left, I think, with Wes Craven, that people started to give a shit about horror again. It's what prompted not Wes Craven. It's what prompted Sam Raimi to make his movies, to make The Evil Dead, and all of this is what inspired and it just the rise of it. John Carpenter came in with The Thing, and his shit.
They Live, Prince of Darkness.
Live,
I mean,
yes.
there's a ton of The Fog. I mean, he's had a ton of movies that have been so good. And I mean, not to mention that, but he writes, directs, and does his own scores, which are
Yes.
amazing. The scores are amazing for his movies.
Halloween's score was simplistic as
Yes,
hell.
yes.
But it was one of the most effective musical scores to the point where Rob Zombie even used it in his remake.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to change things with your remake.
Yep.
You know?
They Live has a great score to
Yes,
it, and
it
it's a
does.
great movie. Now, would you
Okay.
consider that a horror movie? Because
No.
after I get done watching it, Melinda was like, was that a horror movie?
This is a whole separate podcast, but I kind of agree with Roddy Piper on that one.
What did Roddy Piper say about it?
Roddy Piper said that he said They Live as a documentary.
Oh, you're right. I do believe in that. Yeah, you're right.
You know?
You're right. I believe in that.
don't know
No,
if it
but I
was a
couldn't figure.
straight
I guess it is
documentary,
more
but-
of. Now that I've watched it again, I guess it is kind of more of a sci-fi. It's a great movie.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But I guess it's more sci-fi than horror, really.
Kind of reminded me of V.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
Right.
And Roddy Piper was just fucking amazing in that.
Right? It was
I
a
mean,
hell of a lot better than Hell Comes to Frogtown.
no, I never saw it, unfortunately, or fortunately, I should say.
That was one of those Gilbert Gottfried Up All Night episodes on USA. Remember that?
Yep, and I remember that, and I remember Rhonda, was that her name?
Rhonda
Shear. Up
Rhonda
all night.
Shear.
I used to watch all that shit too. Yep.
Except she took the up a few octaves. Up.
Yes, that was it. Up all night or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not even. Gonna
I forgot
attempt
about
it.
Gilbert
Yeah.
Godfrey. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. How
Now,
now
in
you forget
the-
about Gilbert Gottfried? That voice doesn't stick in your head forever.
Well, that's probably why I forgot about
you
him.
know? You tune it out. Just-
Now in the 80s too, I can remember a lot of did you watch any of the like off like titles like things like It's Alive,
oh, you know what?
Pieces?
Mom, my mother would not let me watch It's Alive.
Oh, really?
Really, because the only time she ever saw that movie was when she was pregnant with me.
Oh, okay.
She
okay.
didn't want that anywhere near the house. It
Well, at
freaked
least she
her-
didn't go
it
see
freaked her
Rosemary's
the fuck
Baby.
out. Well, I think she saw that too. Actually. It was years later when I
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
that one.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of
It was actually so long since until I saw Rosemary's Baby that it was not effective anymore. It's
Yeah,
like when you
it
watch The
isn't.
Exorcist as a child versus when you watch it at fucking 38.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
It just
it's
doesn't
not as effective. Yeah, there's definitely some, especially when you know everything that's going to happen.
Right.
I mean, you're just watching it for the memory of watching it, and want to see a good flick or whatever.
Decades of people talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
First in person, then online. You know, you're going to know everything there is to know about it.
By the way, tell your wife you cannot. I have done every search possible, and I mean every search possible. You cannot find Repossessed anywhere.
Really?
Yes.
That's depressing.
I couldn't find it anywhere, and I did all I could find was a couple trailers, couple clips. That was it. But I looked in other avenues also, and it's nowhere to be found even there.
There's always the deep web if you want to.
Yeah, I'm not going there for Leslie Nielsen and Linda Blair, but
You know?
but yeah, God, I loved it. It was so funny.
It's not worth getting your computer fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I was just thinking about that because we were talking about The Exorcist.
Oh, right. Yep.
But yeah, there are a lot of movies. I just remember I had a friend named, shout out to Mike Owens, who lives in Ohio too. He was Die Hard when we were in junior high. He was a diehard. He was not watching any of the stuff I was watching. In other words, I was watching like regular movies and stuff. He was Die Hard like Pieces, It's Alive. What was the other one that he made? He would bring me in the house and like, you got to see this scene. And I'm like, I don't want to fucking see this scene. And
That
it
that was me with a guy that in fact, this person, I think his name was Jamil. I was going to actually mention him. We were talking
Yeah.
about Good Boys
Yeah.
and how that reminded us of our childhoods. And he was one of the ones. It was me, Donnie, Mike,
Okay.
and that was the core three. And then eventually
Yeah.
Jamil came along. He moved into North Lake, and we
Yeah.
used to sneak over to his house and watch Halloween movies.
Yeah.
The first one I ever saw was Halloween 3. That was the first Halloween movie I ever saw.
now that must have been weird to see Halloween 1
See,
later. Or
It was, because when that dude in the beginning goes into the hospital, does his deed, and then
Yeah.
goes back out in a car and sets himself on fire.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh, that's why Michael Myers wears the mask. Because he's burned.
yeah.
I had no idea that was not even connected to the Michael Myers stuff.
I didn't know that was John Carpenter's idea because it was.
Yeah.
He said, let's
Yeah,
just
it
do
was
a new
supposed to be an
series with,
anthology every year. Every year is supposed to be something different.
I knew that was his. I mean, I had known that that's what they were trying to do, but I didn't know it was actually his idea until I just saw an interview with him, to do that. Maybe, I mean, once we see the results of what we got afterwards, maybe it would have been a better idea to go for an anthology for that one.
Maybe.
I don't know, because, I mean, nothing really was good after that. I mean,
I don't know. The second one wasn't too bad.
no, I mean, after 3. I mean,
yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
you're not
maybe they
wrong.
should have
went
just
into
went
the whole
ahead and.
Celtic shit.
Yeah,
and-
exactly.
Yeah, I never watched any of them, but I've heard all about it. It
Yeah,
just sounds
yeah.
awful.
So maybe they just should have went for that. I don't know.
H20 doesn't stand up.
No, I can remember. So I think that was Hollywood Video, and
Matt and I used to call that Halloween water.
Halloween water. Was that the one with LL Cool J in
That was
it?
the one with LL fucking.
And is Busta Rhymes in that one too, or is
Wait
that
a minute.
another
No,
one?
That was the next one, I think.
Okay, because I remember LL Cool J was in one and Busta Rhymes was in the other. I don't remember which.
They're interchangeable. They're like AC/DC lyrics. You can just take one from this song and put it in this song, and it just fucking works. Cause
You're probably so much right. Yeah. Yeah. So Halloween. Have we? Oh, that's what I was getting to with my point with my friend Mike Owens.
Right.
Is he introduced me to Herschel Gordon Lewis?
Herschel.
Do you
Gordon
remember
Lewis.
him?
I remember the name.
The Wizard of Gore.
Wizard of. Oh.
His stuff was so excessive at the time, 70s and
Yes.
early 80s. I mean, literally, he would be cutting people in half, and there'd be blood and bowels everywhere, and like some of the stuff you see today, like a Rob Zombie film, except for back then.
Shit that would get it sent back to you from.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So I remember,
Cut this, or you're getting an X.
Yeah.
You know?
It was when one of the places in town had just opened, and they were renting all kinds of movies, and you were able to get a lot of those independent films. And I remember he would go and rent stuff and kind of make me
Radio
watch
Hospital?
it. Yeah, that was it. It was Radio Hospital. Yeah.
Yep, that's where I got my first porno from.
Oh, great. That's probably where I got mine from, too, actually.
Never returned it either. I just
Oh, nice.
Devil and Miss Jones.
So,
I had heard the title before, and I was like, Devil and Miss Jones. Let's get it. And they didn't card. I think I was like 12 when I went in there and fucking.
no, they didn't.
They didn't give a fuck.
They knew my dad from going in there and renting movies because it was when we first got a VCR.
Okay.
And so I didn't even need a membership card.
I mean, hell, you could rent Atari games from that place.
Oh yeah,
that was
it was awesome.
Weird.
There was that's one of my first experiences at a video store, and I can just remember. I remember all the big boxes. Remember when they used to have the big boxes
Those
and
big fucking
yeah,
clamshells,
yeah. And oh wow,
Like the old Disney boxes that were
yes.
white with the thing, and it was plastic, and it made noises when you opened it up.
And then they would have the cardboard ones. There was cardboard ones that were about that big and about that. They had so much extra room for tape or whatever. It was just amazing. I wish. Back then is when I wish we would have had cell phones just to take pictures of that kind of shit. You know that we would have appreciated later on. Now,
once we invent time travel,
yeah, we can go back and take
send
pictures
somebody-
of all that shit.
Actually, I've seen a picture of a dude online from like the 1930s, just standing there with like a modern T-shirt and sunglasses.
Oh, I've seen that same
holding
picture.
a cell phone.
Yes. Yes.
I want to see his pictures because he got some shit. You know he did.
Well, then they have that Charlie Chaplin movie too, where the woman supposedly walks by with a cell phone. Supposedly.
Supposedly.
So that's some weird shit. We need to get down on some of that weird kind of stuff.
Have a conspiracy episode.
We should do an episode with different movies or TV shows that had problems, like the whole poltergeist curse and all that kind of stuff.
And there was a lot of creepy shit that happened on the set of The Exorcist too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know?
I remember that.
Oh god,
I remember talking about that. Yep. And there's actually a bunch of movies like that where just creepy shit happened, and we won't get into the.
I don't think it had anything to do with the movies themselves. I think that creepy shit just happens, and it just.
And it just happened to be on that movie set
the
or
more
whatever.
Movies you make,
yeah.
Every time you make a
You're
movie,
gonna
you're
have
rolling the dice, and the more times you roll the dice, the more probability you're going to come up with a 1.
Exactly.
Like the shirt says, the dice did it, the dice. Which, by the way, thank you, Shannon. I still wear it. She's not watching. She has no idea, but I still wear it.
Oh, but anyway, do we have anything else for Halloween or anything? I'm going to look at my little notes here, but I think we're about. I know Fred's hungry.
I'm still trying to think if there was any bad choices that we made, and I still can't remember what the fuck it was we watched. Because after that Elvira movie, we watched something else, and it was horror related, and I can't fucking remember what it was. That's going to drive me nuts. We're going to have to put it in the comment section.
All right. I have a question for you here, but I'm not going to ask it now because we've got too much going on. Okay. I'll have it on here for next week. I just want to make sure I got through all that. The one thing that I wanted to point out that does have something to do with horror. I don't know if you're watching. You probably aren't, but Castle Rock. Did you watch it last season? Have you watched it?
I watched the first episode last season, and I don't want to say that I had no interest because. Honestly, I don't think watching one episode of something is enough to judge whether you've got an interest or not. You got to get a few episodes in before you realize that it's grabbed you.
Yeah.
Just a time issue. There's too much. We've talked
Yeah.
about that before.
You're right, you're right.
Back in the day, there was 13 channels, and you went to work, and you're like, did you watch such and such? And they're like, well, what the fuck else was there? You know, now it's like, did you watch such and such? Well, what streaming service is that on? It's on Blue Blue. And what the fuck is Blue Blue? I don't have that yet. It's like $20 a month, though. You got to get it. And they've got this one show that you need to watch.
I know exactly what you're saying, and it just so happens that I'm around the TV more. I mean, I have more time than Fred because I'm a stay-at-home dad. So I kind of do what my mom did, you know, while I'm doing laundry and all that kind of shit. I'm watching movies or TV or whatever. But I just wanted to point out Castle Rock only for one reason: is I wasn't going to watch it. I really wasn't, and then I found out that it's about Annie Wilkes.
This season?
Yes.
Yeah. This new
It's
season?
about
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Misery.
And that's Lizzie Kaplan. I
Yeah,
fucking love
and
her.
she is doing a perfect impression of what's her name? Why can't I think of it?
Bates?
Kathy Bates.
That worries me.
It
though.
no, it really looks like her young because she's.
Okay.
I don't really understand where the we haven't gotten to the point in the series where you really understand where it takes you. Like if if this is before what she did in Misery or after, and she's just made to look younger because she's obviously younger in this.
Right.
But I think it's before. I definitely think it's before what happened in this Misery.
I had heard that about the show, that it's basically just Stephen King's characters, and that's kind of why.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I didn't jump in, because as much as I love his brand of horror,
Yeah.
his characters are depressing assholes.
Oh yeah, they are. I give you that. Yeah, I give you that.
Even the kids are assholes.
Oh yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know?
You got to think back to what's his name, Christine, and
Right.
Carrie. She was, yeah.
I mean, even the character of Carrie herself, who was
Yeah.
was tortured by all these other assholes.
Oh, yeah.
was kind of a bitch herself.
yeah.
you know?
I understand. I get it.
You know?
But this one is good for the factor of it. It has its own story, of course. Tim Robbins is in it, which is a welcome back.
You know,
I'll tell you that right
alone, That alone
now.
checks that box. You know.
Yeah, he's really good in it. And
It's
this
got the pedigree.
And who did you say? Lizzie Kaplan.
Lizzie Kaplan. I fucking
She
love
is
her.
doing an amazing job at playing this character. She's not overplaying it. She's not underplaying it. She's right there.
It's going to be interesting to see her front and center, because she's been more of a character actor. She's been on just about everything. I mean, she was in Smallville.
I knew I recognized her.
She was, she's been in just about
Okay.
every fucking
Yeah.
thing. If you pick a TV show, I guarantee she had an episode.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, I know I recognized her, but I do.
She made the round.
I recommend it for you if you get a chance, and I do recommend it to the viewers and listeners or whatever. If you are a Misery fan, you definitely want to be there, watch this. And that was always one of my favorite Stephen King movies was Misery. So
Right, mine too. Especially the CW shows. She was especially on the CW shows.
Oh, yeah.
CW recycles actors the same way BBC does.
Yep.
You know, there's like 12 actors in England.
Yep.
And they're in every show. Eventually,
Yep.
they are in every show.
Oh my God. All right, so that's the end of our Halloween episode. I was going to talk about Dolomite. Maybe
Oh,
Fred will watch it. It's a welcome comeback for Eddie Murphy is all I'll
I
say.
will definitely watch it. I just can't promise I'll see it
Yeah.
in theater. That's
No,
but
it's on Netflix, dude. It's on
Is
Netflix
it?
right now. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's on Netflix right now. I watched it Friday when it came out. I was waiting.
Well, I better hurry then, because we're going to be getting rid of Netflix soon
Are ya?
to make room for Disney Plus.
Oh,
We can only
okay.
afford one or the other.
Yeah, yeah.
And I need to see The Mandalorian. I'm more excited about that than I am the conclusion of the sequel trilogy.
Really?
Yes.
What did you think about that, by the way? What do you think of the trailer? We don't have to get all into it, but
For Rise of Skywalker?
for the new Rise of Skywalker trailer.
You mean the last trailer, the final trailer?
The final one, yeah.
It was very underwhelming.
Yeah, I thought so too.
It was
I kind of thought so
very
too.
Underwhelming. It's like they're deliberately trying to or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're deliberately trying to divert from what's
Yeah.
actually going to happen. I don't know.
I kind of wasn't like, I mean, when I watched it, I usually go right back and watch it again, and I was kind of like, I mean,
I'll
I
still
guess.
see it. It's not going to.
Oh, yeah, it's not going to affect any of us, but
Maybe they just know that. Maybe they know they can put the most boring parts from their fucking movie on screen, and these fucking fanboys will still go pay money.
you could
for
be
it.
right. You could be right. I mean, who knows what they're thinking these days?
Doesn't matter. They don't care. They don't care if the movie's good.
Disney doesn't care. That's the problem. Disney just wants to make
It's not
money.
just Disney. It's every fucking movie studio. There are and you know what? When you get an independent movie studio that does care, they get
Yeah.
bought out by the bigger studios. Look at New Line.
Oh, yeah.
New Line gave a fuck for a very long
Yep.
time, and then all of a sudden they got bought. Now they can't make the same things
yeah.
they used to make anymore.
Oh yeah, I agree completely. None of the studios give a shit. But I was just saying,
Lionsgate.
in the situation of Star Wars, Disney just doesn't get. Well, they give a shit, but they give a shit about the cash. That's what they want.
That's what they want. They don't care if the movie's good. They just
Exactly.
care if they fill theater seats. Once you've paid for your ticket and you're sitting in that fucking theater, doesn't matter if the movie's good or not. They
Yeah.
got their money.
Yeah.
They got their money.
I didn't hear. Did you go see Lion King?
No.
Because I heard it was a total flop. Like,
I heard
horrible.
it was just basically shot for shot. Did you watch Chris Stuckman's review?
That's what I heard. No, I did not watch that one.
He basically.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Shot for shot.
Shot for
okay.
shot.
Yeah, that's kind of what.
Nothing new.
That was one of the few, like, Disney never touts their misplaces or when they screw up. So
Meanwhile, Aladdin felt justified.
I liked Aladdin. I told you,
was good.
I watched it and I liked it.
That felt like a live action remake that was justified.
Yeah, it was.
Because enough was different in that to make it fresh.
Yeah, I agree.
Lion
And
King.
Pirates of the Caribbean is still great.
I'll-
The first
I'll see
couple.
Lion
I mean,
Yeah, but after that, they basically just.
No, it's the
I
same
wouldn't
thing
be
over and over.
surprised if somebody said that they CGI'd Johnny Depp in that, and he just gave his lines from the other end of a.
That
fucking
wouldn't
phone
surprise me at all
On
either.
his island while he was
Yeah.
sipping fucking margaritas.
Oh, but anyway, we will talk about Dolomite next week because I got a lot of things to say about it because Eddie Murphy I'm so looking forward to this hopefully stand-up tour that he's been talking about on the talk shows now that he's going to do.
I kind of agree with Rogan on this one. Joe Rogan was saying that you have to be in the thick of things. You have to be out doing a tour to have your nose or your finger on the pulse of
Yeah.
comedy. Otherwise, you're just not going to. You can't just bust out after 20, 30 years and just do a comedy special.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't think he's going to do a comedy special. I actually think he's probably going to go to a few places where nobody is going
how
to
you
not
should do it.
recognize him, but he's going to do those pop-up things like Louis C.K.'s been doing.
Yeah, you know why they do that? They do that so that they can test their material.
Exactly. So
They
that I
write
think
material. It's always leading up to a special. Though.
there's no way. Yeah, but there's no way in hell that he's going to just do a special. He's
Right.
going
You
to
have to
perform
do
it
it.
first. Yeah.
Good, okay.
And
As long as he does it the right way, I'll
Oh no,
watch
he's
it.
already when I saw the Jimmy Kimmel thing, he had been talking about. He was like, yeah, I need to get out and I need to start. He goes, that's what I'm concentrating on now.
So he does understand. He does.
Oh, he know. Okay, yeah, you know that.
Well, you don't know that. Have you seen
Yeah.
The Nutty Professor? Have you seen The Haunted
Dude,
Mansion?
you've got to see Dolomite. You've got to see Dolomite. There is one scene in this movie, and I saw the Dolomite movies. I've seen two of them. They're silly. They're blaxploitation movies, and they're silly and they're goofy, but they're for what they're worth.
He actually plays Rudy Ray Moore.
There is a moment in this movie in the middle where I kept saying to myself, "It's good, man, but it's Eddie doing Dolomite." There's a moment in this movie about the middle where he does a monologue in the middle of the mirror or in the front of the mirror, and it just switches. It's all of a sudden, oh, holy fuck, I'm watching Rudy Ray Moore. I mean, it's like, it's so just like really tiny and minute, but when he does it, you're like, holy shit, he just became Dolomite in front of my fucking eyes.
Well, I think I need to see the original Dolomites too. That's got to be on one of those Grindhouse.
I'm
apps
sure it is.
for the,
Yeah, I'm
Roku.
sure. You might even be on YouTube to tell you the truth. I don't know how graphic they were. I knew he had a lot of nudity, but I don't know. But anyhow, we're going to talk about that next week. Hopefully,
'cause
Fred will
we're-
check it out.
I will give it a shot. In
but,
fact, you know what? We're doing that night by night thing. And
there you go.
Tonight's hers, tomorrow's mine.
It's good. It is really, even if you're not familiar with Dolomite, it's a great movie, and you're going to realize that Eddie is.
No, she loves Eddie Murphy. Anyway,
Yeah,
so she won't. She won't.
He's back. I think he's back. At least with this one. Please don't make any more poor choices, Eddie. Please don't take any more kids.
Well, he
movies.
doesn't have any kids to fucking.
Yeah, that's right.
To tone
Yeah.
it down for.
Yeah,
You know? His
yeah.
kids are all grown up now.
Yeah. All right. So great Halloween episode. We will
like to think
see
so.
you next week, and we hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, we're still looking for an intern or somebody to help us.
Yes, and I'm
with
still
the
trying to sell
computer
these
stuff.
goddamn masks.
Yes, the mask right up there.
I promise
The
if somebody buys these
Jason
fucking
mask.
masks,
Where am I?
if somebody buys these fucking masks, I promise that I will just set my goddamn cruise control at 70 from now on.
Which is what you should be doing anyway, Fred.
That's what I did on the way home.
Oh yeah, I
It is.
bet you did.
And people were blowing past me.
Exactly.
Fucking flying past me, doing way faster.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
was that state trooper then?
Of course, yeah, that's the way you always
know?
feel about it. I know exactly what you're saying, dude.
It's
I know
like,
it.
I can feel the looks these people are giving me. Going, why is this motherfucker going exactly? Okay, whatever.
All right. We'll see you guys next week, and hope you have a fun week. We hope you had a happy holiday. We did around here as far as everything was concerned, but yeah. So see, except for Fred's ticket.
And if I remember what the fuck movie that was we watched after Elvira on Halloween night, I'll let you know.
All right. All right. See you guys, everybody. We love you. The Culture Pop.
Have fun.